verse 9. These are the generations of Noah. Noah was a righteous man, blameless in his generation. Noah walked with God. Because only the second time we read this, Enoch walked with God, Noah walked with God. Okay, so he was in his generation blameless. Again, if you compare the people around him who were not blameless at all, okay, they were like so sinful. So if they committed 1 billion sins and Noah committed 5, then comparatively to them, he's sinless. Okay, so that doesn't, again, I explained this already. Noah, and I gave reasons why Noah ultimately had sin, okay, but he was not like the other people, okay. So we can look at the other videos on that. So yes, he walked with God like Enoch walked with God. Verse 10. And Noah had 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Okay, so now we don't, later on it's going to seem as if Ham was the youngest, right? And here, in this case, Shem, and then Ham, and then Japheth. So it seems as Shem's the oldest, Ham, then second, and Japheth next. We never really see who is the oldest here. The only point is where he's going to call Ham the youngest, kind of, but that can mean as well a number of things. But anyhow, so most likely some say the reason why is just because Shem, Ham, and Japheth kind of fits nicer together, short, short, long, rather than short, long, short kind of idea. Okay, so yeah, the 3 sons. Verse 11. Now the earth was corrupt in God's sight, and the earth was filled with violence. Right? This is a repetition again of what we've seen earlier in this chapter. The earth was corrupt. Why was the earth corrupt? Because ultimately the line of Seth and the line of Cain, they intermingled, and sin just spread everywhere. Verse 11. And God saw, verse 12. And God saw the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted their way in the earth. Again, God saw, okay? God knows, God sees. All of this corrupt is a repetition as well of what we've seen earlier in this chapter. All the flesh. Okay, in this case we're not even speaking of man, but we're speaking of all flesh. Okay, it might include actually all, even the animals, because of our sin. Right, so we don't know what kind of other things went wrong as well, even in the animal world. Verse 13. And God said to Noah, I have determined to make an end of all flesh, for the earth is filled with violence through them. Behold, I will destroy them with the earth. Okay, so here God is now, before he said this, he looked at it, he saw what is happening, he regretted. Now he is restating it, like chapter 2, kind of an extra addition to chapter 1 to explain what happened on day 6 better. Okay, here he's as well repeating it, so because now he's going to speak to Noah and tell Noah something concerning his reasons why he is and what Noah has to do. Okay, so it's not just because, oh, God is sitting up there in a tree or something like that. Oh, what do I want to do? He fell out of the tree, fell on his head, kind of idea. Oh, now I need to destroy everyone, right? Or like the gods over there. And this is what the gods in those days would do. Like the one fighting against the other one, the one gets stronger, then he destroys him, and then I mean, there are other stories, flood stories out there. So in which these kinds of things happen. Okay, not the falling of the tree, but literally where too many people on this planet, Gilgamesh and then Epic, and then they made too much noise, and so like Thanos kind of destroy everyone, but one of the gods got Gilgamesh and saved him, and then gave him the task, and then after the whole flood is over, it's like God, oh, there's still a human around here. But then they made a nice barbecue, and all went kind of well from there, and this Gilgamesh was made a god, right? It's not happening here, right? This is not God is like, oh, I kind of, no, he didn't fall out of the tree, he didn't wake up with a headache in the morning and decide he just want to destroy everyone. If God was like that, none of this around us would be possible. None of us would be here. None of us would be here. Right? Gravity will be 9.8 one day and 4 the next day, kind of idea. If God was changing like that. You can't trust a God like that. But God's not like that. So you can't trust these other gods, like from the Gilgamesh epic, for example. God is the opposite of this. God saw, God regretted, God did. God told. God, not one god without the knowledge of the other gods saving Gilgamesh, right? But God telling Noah too, because Noah was blameless. Okay. Verse 14. Make yourself an ark of gopher wood. Make rooms in the ark and cover it inside and out with pitch. Because here God just basically telling him make an ark. Right? The word ark here is the same word that's going to be used for the little crypt in which Moses cradle, whatever, basket in which Moses was put when he was put in the Nile, which saved him ultimately. Right? The same word ark that we used there, and the word ark you used here, like Moses was saved there through that basket, and the same way, and as well this concept of how it was made, especially with the pitch as well, is the same thing mentioned there. Okay, so yeah, it's supposed to make an ark. The wood, we don't know exactly what gopher wood is. Most likely some other strong enough wood, okay, that they would have known. And they the rooms. Okay, and yeah, he's going to give exactly, God will exactly tell Noah how to make it. Okay, this verse 15. This is how you to make it. The length of the ark 300 cubits, its breadth 50 cubits, and its height 30 cubits. Okay, 350, 50, 30. Okay. Yeah, this is more than 100 meters long, kind of, and about more than 30 meters wide. It's kind of, I mean, it's a big ship, right? Then you're supposed to make a roof for the ark and finish it a cubit above, to a cubit above. Okay, verse 16. Make a roof for the ark and finish it to a cubit above. And set the door of the ark in its side. Make it with lower, second, and third discs. Okay, so you're supposed to make a roof, but unlike in the picture we see like there that you could see out. In this case, seemingly as the roof was just on the top, so you could just look up and not up out kind of idea. Okay, because in the kids' books I always like to portray it. They were standing like on the ship's deck and looking, and could see everything at a 360-degree view, kind of. In this case, it's more the idea of in the roof he made this window, and then he could only see up, so he could see that the sun is shining, but he could not see the land is open. That's why ultimately he had to send out the birds. Okay, yeah, and different levels kind of makes sense, because you're going to have bigger, smaller animals, and there needs to be some kind of organization, otherwise it's going to be a big mess. I think you ought to understand that. Verse 17, for behold, I'll bring a flood of waters upon the earth to destroy all flesh, and which is a breath of life under heaven. Everything is on the earth that's on the earth shall die. Okay, now in this verse, God explains how he's going to destroy it all with a flood. Okay, would they have seen floods before? Kind of, seemingly, most likely not. Okay, so would he have understood what this a flood means? We don't know, but God said how is he going to destroy it, and ultimately he did destroy it in this way. Okay, he most likely, I mean, during the flood learned what the flood is. Okay, and as well, he's going to destroy everything, like he said, right? So they all are evil, all flesh. Noah, you built the ark. This is the reason I'm going to destroy it. And then God is going to give, again, the grace. Not only the grace of telling him how he can survive this. He didn't say 5 nails to 1 plank or something like that, right? He just gave the measurements. Okay. If God gave more, we don't know. It's not written. He could have. We don't know. Right? Again, that's an important part. But he explained why. And so the grace of God telling him what to do, right? And then ultimately as well the grace of God, what we're going to see in the next verse, verse 18. But I will establish my covenant with you, and you shall come into the ark, you, your sons, your wife, and your sons' wives with you. And of every living thing of all flesh you shall bring 2 of every sort into the ark to keep them alive with you. they shall be male and female. Verse 20. Of the birds according to their kinds, and of the animals according to their kinds, of every creeping thing of the ground according to its kind. 2 of every sort shall come into you to keep them alive. Okay, so firstly, God is making a covenant with all of them, ultimately, right? He's making this covenant with him, and he's going to repeat this covenant after the flood. His sons and the daughters, his wife, 8 of them ultimately will be saved. So thanks to Noah, all these other people were saved as well, right? And animals were saved. Okay, we will get to this idea of how could he fit in so many animals ultimately on this on this ark, right? But that's for the next chapter when all of this starts happening. Okay, here it's just said that he is supposed to do it. Okay, and 2 of every sort. Male, female, it kind of makes sense. If you don't have a male, you can't have offspring. If you don't have a female, you can't have offspring. You kind of need both. Okay. Now I know there are some animals like the seahorse that basically male, female at the same time, right? But I'm speaking in general here. Okay. I don't know if he took seahorses, most likely not, because no mention is made of fish, because kind of didn't need to take fish on the ark, and the fish is not going to die in the water. Right. And the birds as well is supposed to take. So in other words, he not only are his sons and their wives saved, and his wife, of course, the fact that he walked with God, right? But nature as well, because of his relationship with God. And this again, I don't want to overstate things here, but it ought to show Greenies that do you really want to serve nature? Then actually the best way to serve nature is by serving God, by repenting and stop sinning. That's actually like Noah here, right? He was sinless, he was righteous before God, unlike the rest, and so God used him to save nature. So you can't claim that you're trying to save nature, you keep on sinning against God and not even believing God. Okay, it's actually sort of the opposite of what's happening. Okay, we can go up a little bit. There's just 2 verses left here. Verse 21. Also take with you every sort of food that is eaten and store it up. It shall serve as food for you and for them. Well, I mean, yeah, sure. Kind of logic, you know. I mean, in a sense, it's maybe not that logic. Why? Because, I mean, Noah had no idea what a flood would be like. He could have thought, you know, after 3-4 days, everything is gone. So, we don't really need to take a lot of, or prepare a lot of food for that. But here, God clearly saying, you need to make food, store it up. That implies that it's going to be a while. Okay? Did God exactly say for how long? We don't know again. Okay? Again, that's not the point, but by saying that, Noah would have understood that it's going to take a while. It's not a day, 2 days thing, a little bit of water falling and then it's all gone kind of. This thing will last. He needs to prepare food. So again, we see God's grace in that. God didn't just say, oh, okay, well, I'm not going to tell him how long it is, and don't care if in the end they all die of the hunger up there in this ark. No, God told him to prepare. Okay, like ultimately later on he's going to do with Joseph in Egypt. Okay, verse 22. Noah did this. He did all that God commanded him. So this chapter ends here with this verse concerning the fact that Noah did it all. Right? As God commanded. Okay? As God commanded, he did. The opposite of the others. In the Garden of Eden. Adam. God commanded him. He didn't follow through. Here, Noah. God commands him. He follows through with it. Exactly as God told him. It shows again that Noah was different than Adam. Okay, again, not sinless, right? He would have had Adam's sin in him, right? But he did. Okay, and that is very important.